Donald Trump knows the Republican Party is barreling toward disaster in 2026. His approval rating has collapsed to just 40%. Gas prices are now over $4.50 a gallon, up 44% since last year, thanks to his war with Iran. Inflation is spiking at 3.8%, and polls show Democrats poised to flip the House in a bloodbath. Yet, instead of backing down, Trump is doing what he does best, turning the entire GOP into a ruthless political war machine. Behind closed doors, his team is preparing something far bigger than a normal midterm campaign, and the man quietly running the whole operation isn't even the one most Americans are watching. Most Americans have never heard the name James Blair. But inside MAGA world, the 6-year-old former White House Deputy Chief of Staff is quickly becoming the most feared and powerful strategist in Washington. Political director of Trump's 2024 campaign, political director of the RNC, the man Trump trusted to run the White House's entire political operation. In April 2026, Trump pulled him out of the White House and put him in charge of the entire 2026 midterm machine, a $300 million war chest, and total control of the outside operation. Insiders call him the Oracle. Critics call him ruthless. Trump simply calls him Brilliant James. While the media obsesses over Trump's every tweet, Blair is the one quietly building the infrastructure, redrawing the maps, purging disloyal Republicans, and engineering the fear machine that could decide control of Congress. And what he's constructing right now may completely rewrite the 2026 battlefield. History doesn't lie. The president's party almost always gets crushed in the midterms. But this time, the situation is far worse. Gas prices have exploded past $4.50 a gallon, a staggering 44% increase in just 1 year, fueled by Trump's escalating conflict with Iran. Inflation is back at 3.8% and climbing. Real wages are shrinking. American families are exhausted, broke, and furious. Even die-hard MAGA voters are starting to turn. Internal polls show Trump's approval inside his own base has dropped into the low 70s dangerous territory for a man who once owned them completely. Trump's inner circle knows a truth most Republican leaders are too afraid to say out loud. The voters aren't just disappointed, they're angry. They don't want to hear about winning. They feel the pain in their wallets every single day. And right now, that rage is pointed straight at the party in power. Even Trump's most loyal supporters are quietly terrified of a political bloodbath in November 2026. So instead of trying to fix the economy, they've decided to burn the whole playbook. They're no longer selling success, they're selling fear. They've stopped trying to sell Trump's successes. Instead, Trump and his team have flipped the entire script. This midterm is no longer about whether Americans like Trump. It's about making them terrified of what happens if the Democrats win. The message is brutally simple. You may hate the chaos now, but under Democrats, it will be 10 times worse. Open borders and record illegal crossings, surging crime in blue cities, woke indoctrination in schools, rampant cultural insanity, economic pain that never ends. Fear is no longer a side effect. Fear is the strategy. Trump's inner circle understands the brutal math. When voters are angry at the party in power, the only way to survive is to make them even more afraid of the other side. They don't need you to love Trump. They just need you to fear the Democrats more. And according to CNN's own reporting, this is only phase one. The real fear machine is still being built. And it's coming for every battleground district in America. Trump is doing something unprecedented. He is nationalizing every single race in 2026. No more local issues. No more my district is different. Every House seat, every Senate race, every state legislature battle, all of them are being forced into one brutal question. Are you with Trump or against him? Local Republican candidates who once ran on roads, schools, and taxes are now being told, forget all that. Your campaign is now a referendum on Donald Trump. This is no longer politics as usual. Trump 2016 was the ultimate outsider who crashed the system. Trump 2026 is the ultimate insider who now owns the entire system. He has turned the Republican Party into a personal political army, Loyalty is no longer optional, it is mandatory. Every candidate must bend the knee, repeat the message, and fight under the same flag. The old guard is gone. The consultants are terrified. The never-Trumpers have been purged. This is total war. One man, one message, one machine. But the real power isn't just in the message, it's in the money. This is not a normal midterm campaign. This is a $300 million political war chest, and it's fully loaded. Trump's outside groups, MAGA Inc., Save America PAC, and allied super PACs are sitting on more cash than both parties combined in many battleground states. That money isn't just sitting in the bank. It's being weaponized. Hundreds of millions are flooding into hyper-targeted digital ads that know you better than your own family. Micro-targeted Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram campaigns engineered by the same data wizards who won 2024. While Democrats are still begging for small donations, Trump's machine is running non-stop attack ads 24/7 inches every competitive district. Rallies, robocalls, text message blasts, door-to-door armies funded at presidential scale. This isn't campaigning. This is saturation warfare. Trump has turned the 2026 midterms into a shadow presidential operation, complete with the money, the data, and the discipline of a general election machine. The message is everywhere. The fear is constant. But behind all this money hides an even quieter and more dangerous weapon. But the real power isn't just in the message or the money. It's in the maps. While the media obsesses over rallies and tweets, James Blair and Trump's team are quietly executing one of the most aggressive mid-decade redistricting operations in modern history. This is their hidden nuclear option. In Texas, Republicans redrew the congressional map last year, a move that could flip up to 5 Democratic seats to the GOP. In Florida, Governor DeSantis just signed new lines in May 2026 that are projected to deliver 4 additional Republican seats. Similar efforts are advancing in Missouri, Tennessee, and other red states. Most voters never notice these lines on a map, but these lines decide who wins before a single ballot is cast. They pack Democratic voters into super blue districts and spread Republican voters across many competitive ones. One stroke of the pen creates safe Republican seats for the next decade. Trump's allies call it restoring fairness. Critics call it gerrymandering on steroids. Either way, it's ruthless political engineering, and it's working. Even if Republicans lose the national popular vote, these new maps could let them hold or even expand their House majority. Hundreds of thousands of voters will wake up on Election Day to find their voice has been quietly diluted by design. This is the weapon most Americans don't see coming. And it may be the one that ultimately saves Trump's agenda from a Democratic Congress. But every weapon has its price. Trump is waging a brutal civil war inside his own party. No mercy, no exceptions. Any Republican who ever criticized him, voted against his agenda, or showed even a hint of independence is being systematically hunted down. Moderate senators, Bush-era conservatives, country club Republicans, they're all being purged. Trump's machine is endorsing primary challengers with massive funding, vicious attack ads, and relentless pressure. Loyalty is the only currency that matters now, one senior Trump advisor said privately. We've already seen it. Sitting Republicans booed off stages at rallies labeled traitors and rhinos by the crowd. Establishment figures who once ran the party are now political corpses. This is no longer the Republican Party of George Bush, Mitt Romney, or John McCain. This is Trump's Republican Party, 100% MAGA, ironclad loyalty, zero tolerance for dissent. James Blair's team keeps a private list. Friends and enemies. And the enemies are being eliminated one by one. This total control gives Trump unmatched power. But blind loyalty can be the greatest strength or the fatal weakness. Because when the polls turn ugly and the base starts to fracture, there may be no one left brave enough to tell Trump the truth. Even CNN can't hide the panic anymore. Behind their usual anti-Trump headlines, a very different story is leaking through. They admit Trump's approval has collapsed. They highlight the brutal economy, the gas prices, and the growing voter rage. They say the Republican Party should be doomed. But then comes the quiet admission that reveals everything. Trump isn't running on his record, CNN analysts confess. He's running on fear. Fear of Democrats. Fear of open borders, fear of crime, fear of cultural collapse. They point out the $300 million war chest, the ruthless redistricting, the total control of the party, and the nonstop cultural warfare. In other words, even the biggest Trump-hating network is forced to acknowledge the old rules no longer apply. This isn't a normal midterm. This is a desperate, all-out power struggle. CNN wants you to believe this strategy shows Trump's weakness and panic. But what they're really admitting between the lines is far more dangerous. Trump has turned his political vulnerability into a weapon. And that weapon might just be strong enough to defy history. The fear machine is working, and they know it. Despite the collapsing polls and the economic pain, here's what keeps top Democrats awake at night. Trump still owns the Republican Party completely. No one inside the GOP dares to challenge him. Every major donor, every key operative, every media voice in the conservative ecosystem answers to one man. His base remains fanatically loyal, a hardened core of voters who will crawl through broken glass to vote for him, no matter the headlines. He controls a $300 million war machine that never sleeps. He commands his own parallel media empire, from Truth Social to massive independent creators that reaches tens of millions every single day, bypassing legacy outlets entirely. Democrats know the brutal truth. Trump doesn't need to win over the majority of the country. He only needs to keep his machine united, angry, and mobilized. And right now, that machine is more unified than ever. The more the media attacks him, the tighter his coalition becomes. The worse the economy looks, the louder his base screams for revenge. Democrats aren't just facing an election. They're facing a disciplined, battle-hardened political army that refuses to break. And that is what truly scares them. This is not a normal midterm election. This is political Armageddon. 2026 has become a brutal survival war for the soul of the Republican Party and for the future of America itself. It is no longer about local candidates or policy details. It is a raw, nationwide referendum. Trump's America or the Resistance's America? A country divided into two hostile camps. One side sees Trump as the last defender of the nation. The other sees him as an existential threat that must be destroyed at all costs. There is no middle ground anymore. No room for compromise. No quiet suburban races decided by potholes and school budgets. Every vote, every seat, every district has been sucked into the same apocalyptic vortex, with Trump or against Trump. The stakes are no longer just Congress. If Republicans hold the House and Senate in 2026, Trump's power in the final 2 years of his term becomes almost impossible to stop. No more investigations, no more gridlock, no more checks. He would have total control over the federal government, the courts, and the national agenda. This is why both sides are fighting like their lives depend on it, because in many ways, they do. The age of ordinary midterms is over. Welcome to the new American Civil War, fought with ballots instead of bullets. So here is the real question no one is asking out loud. Is this a stroke of political genius, or proof that Trump knows the Republican Party is heading straight toward disaster in 2026? He has built the most powerful, most loyal, and most ruthless political machine in modern American history. But he built it out of fear, not strength. America has never been this polarized. Families are divided, friends no longer speak. Politics has swallowed everything. Culture, entertainment, even sports. Voters on both sides are exhausted. They're tired of the rage, tired of the chaos, tired of waking up every day to another political war, yet the machine keeps turning louder, faster, more extreme. Trump has transformed the Republican Party into something entirely new, something unrecognizable to the old guard. A party that demands total loyalty and offers total war. One thing is now certain. The 2026 midterm will not be remembered as just another election. It will be remembered as the moment the Republican Party fought for its very survival, and the future of the country hung in the balance. The battle lines are drawn. The war is already here. So what do you think? Is Trump building the most powerful, most disciplined, and most ruthless political war machine in modern American history, a machine that could defy historical trends and keep control of Congress Or is this all just a desperate, high-stakes gamble by a president who knows his party is sliding toward a historic bloodbath in 2026? Is the fear strategy pure genius, or the final proof that the Republican Party is cracking under the weight of reality? The maps are being redrawn. The money is flowing. The purges are happening, and the country is more divided than ever. Drop your answer in the comments right now. Genius move or sign of panic? I read every single comment. If you want more raw, no-spin breakdowns like this, exposing the real strategies, the hidden power plays, and what's really happening behind the scenes in American politics, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and join the channel. This fight is far from over. See you in the next one.